Hi, I'm Dwayne Morton. As someone who has navigated some of life's most difficult, unlikely, and untimely circumstances, I understand what it feels like to battle those challenges alone. That's why I created Show Up to Heal. This podcast is for the people who feel unheard, unseen, and unloved. This is where you can come and hear true stories and where man can have real conversations. But most importantly, this is a place where we're creating a community so you can feel supported. I want you to feel in this community that you are seen, heard, and loved. And if no one else has told you today, I love you. Welcome to Show Up to Heal. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Show Up to Heal. I'm your host, Dwayne Morton, Mr. Show Up to Win, and I am extremely excited to have this next guest. He was a part of the podcast series, and he's a great human being, and he has a hell of a resilient story, but also he's just a really amazing person who has great stories, but he also is doing great things for other people. So I'm going to bring him on stage. Hey, Kelly, how's it going, my friend?
Hey, pleasure to be here. It's a Saturday here in Detroit, and it's there's only very few people that I would take a Saturday interview with, and you're one of them. So thanks for having me. We'll do our best to educate and inspire your audience.
Absolutely, man. So first of all, I think people don't realize like how difficult this is, and me and you were talking about that also. But also, this is a Saturday. A lot of people, that is just time that they're not gonna, you know, have a conversation. But it's like, hey, I just want this me time. And I'm a big believer in self care, but sometimes things just happen, and there's just an opportunity. And so I just appreciate you being able to say, hey, Dwayne, I will do this for you on this day, and make time out of your busy schedule. Like that just means the world to me, but also it means just the where we're at in our friendship, but also realizing where we're both at this point and what we're doing for others. And so I just want to say thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm grateful to be here. And I'll tell you one more. And here's your first advice to the audience: is you look at their schedule and you'll see what their priorities are. Yes, I usually call Saturdays Siegel Self-Care Saturdays. But this Saturday, it's a day of recording. I have 4 solo episodes I've got to record. I was supposed to have them done before I got on here. Yeah, the day's gone south. So I will do that late after you. What I tell everybody and the HDL Nation is to use the weekend to build the life of that you don't need escaping from. Because in my previous life, before I started Harder Than Life, is I would party like a rock star. In Michigan right now this weekend is a big, humongous, gigantic boat party. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And now you couldn't pay me to be there. And I would just go party from Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then start resting up Sunday. And I didn't feel right till Tuesday or Wednesday. So, you think it's having fun, and you think the partying and the being with your friends is fun, but they say people will say you only live once, but no, you only die once. And I'm going to tell you, if you're ripping your weekends like that, you're not living, because I was there and I can speak from experience. It looked like I was having the time of my life, but I was literally dead on the inside. I hated looking in the mirror. So I would just tell people, use the weekend wisely to rest and to recharge. Today happens to be a work day.
Right. So I want to go ahead and I want to read your bio for the people who aren't familiar with you. Kelly Siegel is the founder of Harder Than Life and host of Harder Than Life podcast, a self-improvement show built on truth, discipline, and live proof. He's the Amazon best-selling author of Harder Than Life and its follow-up, Happier Than Life. He is also the CEO of National Technology Management, an AI-driven managed IT and cybersecurity company. Kelly grew up in chaos, violence, addiction, neglect, and scarcity. He didn't numb it. He engineered his way out of it. Over 7 years sober and training daily, he's living proof that pain can be turned into discipline and discipline into freedom. He doesn't sell hope, he sells proof. His message on man's mental health is simple. Feelings follow actions, Peace is built, not found, and healing without structure collapses. He teaches man how to stop surviving and start building a life they actually want to be inside of. For more mental fitness that moves the needle, subscribe to the Harder Than Life YouTube channel and tune into his Thursday podcast. They'll help. So Kelly, man, let's talk about like how you got here. And for the people, we didn't get a chance to, in the podcast series, to really go in depth of like who Kelly Siegel is as a person, as a core. And I think one of the things is what builds resilience is a lot of pain, trauma. Can you kind of share your aspect of it, but then also share the aspect of where it's like, I overcame, and just be proud.
If you watched while you were reading that, I was smiling and giggling. You asked me who I am, and truth be told, right now, I don't know. I have fully killed off the scarcity and fear persona that I had created to become successful, quote unquote, successful financially. And I'm in this in-between phase where I'm really back to square one and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. That's the unfortunate part of healing. So what got me here won't get me there. And I'm just in that, what am I going to do next phase? Having said all that, you asked me, what resilience and fear. I would tell people that what I'm seeing out in the world right now is people don't want to face their fears. The worst thing that ever happened to you in your life is running in your subconscious, and it's dictating all your decisions. And I know this because I was one of them. And I've read enough books, done enough therapy, interviewed over 300 people to have that summation. And I would tell you, facing your fears is looking at the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. Well documented. I was physically and emotionally abused daily from I was first born till 16 years old when I called my stepfather out to throw me out of the house. And then I kept that mentality going for another 25, 30 years until I just looked at myself and said, I'm the constant in here. I looked in the mirror, became radically accountable and said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't hit rock bottom, thank goodness. And I just didn't like the man in the mirror. And I had my first inkling right around 30, where I'm like, something's off. I'm not who I should be, and I'm not even close to being him. But I waited another 13 years until I said, I gotta make some major changes. And what the Heart of the Life movement is all about, everybody getting started sooner. And we all have trauma, whether it's big T, like mine being drowned by my stepfather in a bathtub, or beat to within an inch of my life by my mother on my birthday, to little T trauma where you're not even sure what it is until you go face into that. And it's not just naming it. A lot of people will name it. Oh, I'm that way because of, I was foster child, or I was adopted, or I was abused, or I was sexually abused. You have to do more than just name it. You have to integrate it, and you have to understand where it's operating in your life. And for me, it was at the base of everything, every decision I made, every interaction, every person that I brought into my ecosystem. And I was wondering why my life was full of chaos, and it was me. And despite what people think, healing hurts, or else everybody would be doing it. And it's difficult and it's challenging. But what's on the other side of a challenge is growth. It's much like working out. If you go to the gym every single day and you're never sore and you don't sweat, you're probably not going to see results. You go to a therapist and you don't leave crying, or you don't leave growing, or you don't keep up leveling to different types of therapy modalities, what are you doing? Just wasting time. And that's what Kelly Siegel is about. Making progress over perfection, the messy, nasty, ugly progress. And I believe that Most people are good. Everything works if you work it. And let's just live the life of our dreams. And it comes with facing those fears head on, not sugarcoating it, not blaming others, and just growing. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, it's a hell of an answer. It's a lot of gives us a lot of leadway for the interview because I went through the same thing. You know, I was just like, hey, I'm just a basketball player. Like, I'm just a basketball player. Basketball was over with. Then it was like, what's next? Same thing with the misdiagnosis. What's next? Get to one part of the healing part and then realize that it opens up a path that leads up a path, that leads to a path. And now I'm here, but I'm not just here. I want to go down the other path to get better. And I think that's the other challenge is not get addicted to healing, but to choose to be healed, right? And to realize that there's a level that I'm at. And for me to go forward, I have to go through that level to get to that next level, kind of like a video game. But it comes down to a choice and a decision. And I think that's where a lot of people misinterpret healing is it comes to a choice and then a decision. And then also it comes into, can I embody the work? So I'm really curious about the embodiment part, Kelly. And also when things come into your awareness, how do you embody the work?
Well, I want to address something you said because I see this everywhere too. Many people's identity is their job. If I asked you asked who you were, you're a basketball player. Me, I'm an entrepreneur. No, you're not. You're a human being, not a human doing. And just being and understanding who you are at your core will allow you to embody the second part of your question. Your actual question was embodying it. And when you're truly in alignment with who you say you are and who you actually are, you'll know when something's off for you and you won't need to embody anything because you'll be nothing but embodiment. And if somebody comes into my energy or my sphere and they're not in alignment with it, I feel it all the way through my body. And I've learned to trust that feeling, which is in fact embodiment. But it came with a lot of work and a lot of self-actualization, a lot of journaling, understanding what is that feeling. Not every single feeling is bad. It'll feel bad because it's foreign. Anxiety sometimes is just telling you, hey man, it's time to get going, bro. Sometimes the scared is just the unfamiliar. So we assume that many of these feelings are bad, but they're really just aligning you to where God wants you to go. If you don't believe in God, I'm sure you believe in the universe and you believe in energy. We're not in control of all of this stuff. And the more you think that you are, the less in control you actually are. And I learned that the hard way. I learned to grind. Who I was being harder than life, which meant doing things when I didn't feel like it and doing them over and over. It actually was counterintuitive. Being harder than life when I first started the brand meant just doing the dang thing over and over and over until you got the result that you came for or something greater. But there's a certain part that's just the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's a little bit of stubbornness and it's stupid. So part of growing for, 3.5 years into this now is realizing sometimes you set out and you're wrong. I used to joke around and say I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. But turns out I'm wrong about a lot of things. And you don't need to be harder than life. Harder than life now means just being emotionally intelligent and enjoy peace and purpose. That's it. And there you could be poor, you could be, poor financially, but rich in living, and still be harder than life. It isn't the grind. Now, that doesn't give the audience the wherewithal to say, oh, Kelly just said I could sit home and hope. You still, a goal without action is nothing more than a dream. A lot of people call that manifestation. you still got to do the work on days that you don't want to. So work works. And the harder you work, the luckier you get. But work on things that move the needle. I call two things in business: revenue generating activities and needle mover activities. Those are the only two things I do. I don't do things just to do them. And that's where we go wrong. And we do a lot of feel good things. I don't do any of that stuff either.
So one thing that you shared was about the action and the work. I believe it's aligned action. Like I want to be in alignment with the action I'm taking. And and I think that's really where I've been able to quantum leap, Kelly, is being able to take aligned action on every step to go to the next level. But also, I feel like one of the things you said was like not being comfortable. Like if I'm comfortable, I don't want to do it. I want to be in my learning part. I don't want to be super uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm not going to jump out of a plane anytime soon. That's going to be a fear that I'm just not going to do right now. But I could get into that learning part. I could get up higher than I had a fear of heights. And so I think that's the other aspect is like there's stages you can get to wherever you want. But then also let's we can be kind to ourselves too. We don't have to like just be like, hey, I'm gonna run a marathon today, and there's steps we have to take to get there. And I think you had mentioned you're 3.5 years into your healing journey, like this other aspect. I've been talking to people who've been doing healing for 30, 40 years, and they're like, oh, wow, I can't believe you got to that progress in that short time frame. So I think there's a part to celebrate how you are where you're at right now, but then also where you're saying, "Hey, I'm willing and I want to get to another level, and I want to see the different type of things." What brought this other aspect of healing onto you? Like what was the thing that changed the game for you to choose? Like, hey, healing's different than what I've been told and what I've been told in the past. It's actually something different. It's actually where I have to accept.
Well, let me correct you. I was listening to you, so I didn't want to interrupt. But I did
Sure.
3.5 years of the brand,
Oh, okay.
7.5 years of major healing, where I declared war on myself, and the better part of 25, really 26 years of healing. And what to answer your question after that is, I was stagnant. So whenever I get stagnant, I reassess, and that's where we get wrong in life is you have to measure everything. And how I measure that is by how my life is at that moment. I do this in business as well. Everything you measure gets better. And this isn't just a feeling. You can't sit here and go, oh, I feel good, so I must be in alignment. Because really, you just said it. Truthfully, being in alignment and getting to your next level, new levels, you meet new devils and you got to become a new person. You literally are going to be uncomfortable. So all I do is I set specific goals and I give them measurables and I just chase after them until it's blue in the face. But you asked me a question: what really pushed me over the edge was I had been living the life of a rock star for 20, 25 years, and I just didn't like the man in the mirror. I would see social media posts. My skin was blotchy, my skin was puffy. Anytime the lights went on at the end of the night of the bar, and there was a mirror I could see, I'd have a woman with me and I'd be walking out and I just like, this is just not who I am. I didn't like who I was. And I went through a real nasty breakup. And I looked in the mirror and just said, what was my part in this? And my part of it was I was trying to heal my motherhood wounds. So I would go find women. This happens subconsciously. This is how I know for a fact that if you don't deal with the worst trauma that's ever happened to you, that it keeps reappearing until you repair it. So I would go, I wanted my mother to love me. She probably loved me, but she didn't know how. And which just got awful. And one of the worst traumas in my life was my 9-year-old birthday when she came home drunk and literally almost killed me. My sister saved my life. She was so drunk. She didn't realize how drunk she was and how hurt I was. She was punching me in the face, broke my nose, and then literally gouged out my eye. And it sounds horrific, and it was. This is 41 years ago, and it feels like, yeah, I could remember it like it was yesterday. But I had to heal that because I kept repeating it. And I kept meeting women that were just like my mother, who couldn't love me, didn't know because they didn't know how to love themselves, weren't emotionally available. And I was just sitting on the beach in Key West, Florida. And I was supposed to be with my girlfriend. And I said, what part of me, what have I done to contribute to this? And I looked down at my drink and I was like, this has been my constant. And I was drinking scotch on the beach. And I said, I'm going to take a break. And when I took a break, I took 90 days off. I wanted to quit right then and there, but I just was scared. And that's how going in to your trauma feels. You're going to be scared to death and think you can't do it. I encourage you. Yes, you can, and you will. If you want to live a better life, if you want to live the life that you're meant to, go right into that. And for me, it was killing off the identity that I had built to survive, which was being the fun party guy that everybody enjoyed and keeping it peaceful for everybody else but me. And to this day, I'm very healed, but it is still very, very difficult for me to put myself first. Saturday, did I really want to do a podcast today? Not really. But if I was being honest with myself, I would have taken the day to myself. But I was already doing shows, and my friend Dwayne wanted me to do it. But I still struggle with that. I still struggle with putting myself first, putting my needs before everybody else's. Because here's a newsflash. I'm a very giving guy. I'm a very kind, giving guy. If I'm okay, everybody in my ecosystem is okay. And that's what I got to keep reminding myself. So what started it? Going into the one thing that I knew was holding me back. And we all know what it is. And usually it starts with this. That's just how I am. If you're saying that's just how I am, reverse engineer that backwards, and there's your trauma that you need healing. Because it's not just how you are. We were born in the image and likeness of God, and we're all kind, we're all loved, we're all lovable, we're all worthy. Work that backwards and grow and heal, and then you can live your best life. And that's where I'm at today. And the challenge becomes it becomes lonely. It becomes where it feels like it's a punishment. I literally was thinking about that last night. It's Friday night. I left a golf outing. I came home, I read, I went in my hot tub, and I was in bed by maybe 9:30. Not a single phone call, not a single text message. I had me and my dog. And it sounds lonely. I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. I had me. And I knew I had a busy day the next day, and I got up and got my workout in, and that's peace for me, man. So you have to get comfortable with what your new life is going to look like, and it's going to feel very foreign. And most people want to go back and self-sabotage and go back and they'll recreate the familiar misery. Not me. It's very simple for me. For me, alcohol was the symptom, not the disease. The disease was I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was lovable because the people that were supposed to love me didn't. They didn't make it safe for me. I made it safe for me, and I loved me, and I created everything that I needed, that I thought I needed. I provided myself. Once I did that, there was a ripple effect where everything in my life got better. Now, it's everything is starting to grow exponentially. The podcast is growing. Our AI cybersecurity company is growing. And funny thing about it is I don't even care anymore. That's the weird thing about being peaceful. That's marrying the process, divorcing the outcome, and just focusing on today.
This episode of Show Up to Heal is brought to you by Carpe Diem 911 with Martin Lopez. Most people don't have an information problem, they have an execution problem. And that's where Carpe Diem 911 is able to elevate it to a whole different standard. There's breath work, meditation, accountability in 52 books. No, you don't have to actually read all 52 books. But what you'll do is you'll put those books into practice. Carpe Diem 911 is a 30-minute phone call that brings accountability with leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, and coaches. It's truly a room where people just wish they could be a part of it. But you're here for one goal, and that's for transformation. So if you're just tired of collecting information and you actually want to execute and you really want the transformation, I highly suggest Carpe Diem 911. There's a really big piece that you said about self-love and self-care. And one of the things is like when I came to terms of like, hey, I don't love myself. And there's just so much power to that. So empowering when you realize like you control that. And there's not much you can really control. That's the other thing in life. Like,
pause for a second, Dwayne. I want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
yeah.
You know how much courage and self-awareness it takes to say that? Because majority of people, if you ask them that question, will all say, of course I love myself. But then you look, they're drinking, drugging, sexting, not working, they're out of shape. That's all a part of love, self-love. And the number one is keeping the promises you make to yourself. So kudos to you, because a lot of your audience, a lot of my audience is in denial. And that's where you need to start, is when you look into that mirror and know that you're not making choices out of loving yourself. And you'll know because that you feel them. Your heart will tighten up. Your stomach will get sick. Your body will tell you. So I don't want your listeners to gloss over that, because people are going, oh boy. There's not a single person in the world that says, yeah, I don't love myself. If they do, that person is probably needs a little more therapy than everybody else. But I implore you, man, you can look at your decisions and that'll tell you if you love yourself. This is black or white. This is not an opinion. The decisions you make, just look at them. And if they are in alignment and you are getting the results that you want in a life, then you probably love yourself. If you don't, and you're constantly people pleasing, or you're sexting, or you're Netflixing, or you're not working out, that's not acts of self-love.
Yeah, I think we get into where we're into the social part and where we think that we need people around us all the time. You know, it's different when you have someone that you're like really close to and you both have a different type of friendship, or and it's a healing friendship. It's also seeing shadows of each other and being able to say like, hey, you need to work on self-love. Hey, you need to work on anger. When you have that type of circle of friends, that's the type of people that I look for. That's the invitation, man. Right?
Well, keep in mind that you have to create those. So that's the highest form of self-love. So I had a bunch of friends that were drinking and drug ones. So if I tried to get out, they would make fun of me. What are you doing? You don't have a drinking problem. Yeah, it was out of control. And so that's the easiest way to your first step of self-love, is auditing your friend circle. If your friends are always telling you what you want to hear, those aren't good friends. And people think that those are their good friends. No. Good friends tell you what you need to hear. And it's usually the uncomfortable truth. Those are good friends. You need more of those. And those are few and far between. And most people, if Dwayne, you said, Kelly, you're not who you claim to be, and I wasn't, I would love that. But most people, oh, Dwayne, you're just being a hater, or you're just being mean, or that's where that self-love and that accountability, that denial happens. And unfortunately, a lot of those friends have been friends with us for years. I've had friends for 30 years that I've had to cut off because they weren't for me anymore. And I'm not judging them. They're on their own trajectory, but they're just not for me. And I want to be around a bunch of people that do hold up a mirror and say, yo, you said this and you did that. What was going on there? Or how can I help? Sometimes it looks like just calling up a friend and saying, I'm struggling today, man. Feel weird.
It,
And that's, unfortunately, that's the toughest thing. I know people that have had childhood friends and they just can't cut them loose. And unfortunately, that's your behaviors and your friends are really what needs to be. It's what has to change to be able to live a happy life.
yeah, absolutely. And so I went through that, and I'll share a little bit, just because I feel like it's. But there comes to a point where you're the person that you're the five closest, the proximity of, and I realized that, like, I felt like they were holding me back. I also felt like I could feel different things from them. Like, I could feel that, like, where they didn't want me to take the role that I know I was supposed to. And then whenever I would say something, it would be like they would cut a joke or they would get sarcastic. And then I realized, like, oh, their season has ran out. And I had to get the parachute on and jump out of the plane and hit the ground and look for a new circle of friends. And so throughout my 2.5 year journey, like, that's been the constant, is like, okay, friends for a season. And then there's been some people that I feel like are going to be lifelong friends, but it's definitely different, man. And as you're going up and you're leveling up too, Kelly, as you said, the right type of friends, they'll be attracted to you, but then the other people will try to come in and be like, hey, remember me like 5 years ago, or like blah, blah, blah. Especially with the podcast. And when I dropped the book, I had so many people reach back out and were like, they're so proud of me. Like, hey, like, they wanted to come on the show. And I'm like, dude, it's just not, something I'm asking you to do. It's like, I'm not interested, but like, they've tried to make it feel like I owed them something. And so for someone like in your case, like, can you give me some pointers, some tips other than just run away?
Yeah, I want to drink our own Kool-Aid that we're sharing with the listeners. As you said, they were holding me back. My friends were holding me back. Let's be radically accountable. You were holding you back because you chose to stay. That's what I mean
Yes.
by radical accountability. And it's so much easier to blame. One finger pointing away, there's three pointing right back at you. And if you can always remember that you are in control of your actions, your behavior, and your outcomes and your responses, and you become radically accountable. We live in an unaccountable world. I mean, just look, this week alone, Anthony Fauci was at a Senate hearing and took the fifth 111 times. It's obvious that he was culpable in this, and yet nothing's going to happen to him. And we have these hearings that are a waste of time. So our leaders waste our time. We know that there's corruption in government, and yet nobody ever goes to jail. So it trickles down, but that's not what the Heart of the Life Nation's about. That's not what ShowUp2Heal is about. And that's not why people are listening to these podcasts. They want to get better. So the people that listen are the solution. They are the answers. So you asked me all that to say, how do you just level up and they just fall off. Because remember, wherever you go, you take you with you. And you just start politely declining invitations to go run amok. You just slower responses, no response, or just say, if somebody asks you to go to the bar, you say, hey, I'll meet you at the gym in the morning if you'd like, or I'll meet you at the bookstore. Yes, there still are some of those. I'd like to go for a walk with you, but I'm not interested in going to a bar or a restaurant or boating with a bunch of people who are miserable. So healing comes with a lot of no's, a lot of goodbyes, and and we're making it sound gruesome, but I'd rather be alone and peaceful than surrounded by a bunch of people and feel lonely. And that's how I felt. I had thousands of friends prior to starting Harder Than Life. Thousands. I had something to do every night. I had to say no to things because there was something going, and I lived it, but I was dead on the inside. And those people, once I started healing, all of them fell off. Not. You get to see who your real friends are. Now, a lot of people did stay. I'm lucky. I still got, I call them moving friends. The ones that if you called them and said, "Hey, I need help moving," would show up without for no reason whatsoever. Also, I used to call them jail friends, the person you'd call to get you out of jail. But I don't do anything wrong anymore. It's just moving friends. And when you're authentic and genuine and got a big heart like I do, you get a lot of friends, and I got a lot of them, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them. But I ask them all to hold me accountable.
Man, and I love the fact that you just said like the moving friends or jail friends, because I think everyone can really understand that concept is like, who can I call where I know they're going to pick up the phone? It's something that I know if I need them, they'll understand it's a need. It's not a
And
want.
Dwayne, keep in mind that's the one that keeps us stuck too, man. You got that childhood friend who've been through so much and they're not growing. Unfortunately, you got to distance yourself from them. And it sucks because they've been your ride or die and they've always been there for you. But if they're not growing, you're not going to grow. You just said you're the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And unfortunately or fortunately, you're going to have to say goodbye to some of the people. And now you can invite them to grow with you, and some will. My best friend in the world took a little longer, but now he started growing. And it was funny because we were laughing because every time I was in jail, he was right there with me. So we were always idiots together doing stupid things. And now we're healing together and we hold each other accountable and we're still there for each other. And he's grown and he's been my best friend for 30 years. Now I got another best friend that's been a friend for 30 years and he's kind of fallen off because he kind of wants to live the old memories the way they used to be and talk about how great things used to be. And I'm not looking backwards, man. I'm only going forward. That's why the windshield is huge and the rearview mirror is small. The only time I look backwards is to help people recognize patterns that they're trying to break. And after that, let's go. We don't need to look backwards anymore.
Yeah. Well, so one thing you were sharing was the mourning part, because I think that was the other aspect, is to mourn some of it's also just to come back and forgive yourself for who you were at that point of time, right? And for me, it was like, why did I stay with these friends or that type of thing? But I was mourning the relationship, the friendship, and the good times, and then I realized like, no, I'm actually forgiving myself to be in that place, to allow that to happen, to do the best that I was doing at that particular time. And I think that is when the magic really happens, when you realize like, I forgive myself for doing the best I could at that time. And now I'm wanting to grow and this person doesn't want to grow. And for me to grow, I have to allow that person to go their own path. And maybe they come back and we meet back up, and it's a different story, and they're focused on their healing part too, and the accountable part. I really appreciate you being honest and talking about your friends and how one came back and back on the path and is now one of your the people who keeps you accountable, but also a part of the healing journey. And then the one that hey, like they want to hold on to the past, and you're straightforward, like you want to go forward and actually test yourself. So I want to commend you on that, but also say there's so many of us that just we don't think about it. And so for you to bring it into our awareness, I think that's really important. So thank you.
Well, leaders go first, and I appreciate that, and I fully feel it. You just keep in mind that the number one step is just noticing it first. You cannot deny it. And it's tough to read the label when you're inside the box. And sometimes you just need to pull away and just say, is this working for me? It's just that simple. And you don't have to groom all your friends. You just have to pull away for a second and reassess and take an honest inventory. Am I living the life that I was meant to live? And if the answer is no, make changes. It's literally that easy. And you can, my podcast is free. I don't have a coaching program. I'm not trying to sell you coaching. You can read the Harder Than Life book or the Happier Than Life book for $20 or download it on Audible and get free. That's the beauty part about the time we're in right now, is you don't have to have a lot of money, but you really do have access to the training, the learning, and the coaching that all of us require and really need. And trust me, there's not going to be a point where I stop doing this. I'm going to work out till the day I die, and I'm going to train my mind and my body until the day I die. And that's how you keep living.
Yeah, the information is out there. A lot of it's free, and it's one of those things you don't have to. It probably helps to have a mentor in some cases, but it's not required. I've done stuff with, and I've done stuff without. One of the things is a lot of people grasp from the past, Napoleon Hill, people like that. Jim Rohn is I'm part of his mentor tree through Melvin Turner Sr. And all those, they have so great wisdom and knowledge, and you're a fool to not look into the past, to look at those type of things. And so with Kelly's website, go ahead.
Wait, you just used two words that I want to jump in on. So people use wisdom and knowledge interchangeably. Do you know the difference between the two?
Wisdom is learned.
Correct.
Through action.
Wisdom is knowledge applied.
Yeah.
So what happens is everybody has knowledge. We all know. Then we do nothing with it. So take and apply it. So, hey, if every single time I go out with this individual, I leave drained, or I get myself in trouble, or I'm not in alignment, then don't go. Just because they're going to ridicule you, your high school friends are going to make fun. Oh, you're too cool to hang out with us. Yeah, I am actually. I just don't want to leave drained. So apply the knowledge that you know, because if you don't, that's the denial. And that's what keeps you on life's merry-go-round. So knowledge applied is wisdom. And what do they say? Smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. I've made them all, man. Every mistake on earth. And I'm going to make a lot more. But I fail forward. And I'm going to pay it forward. And then everything I do, I release so people can learn from my mistakes. And I just wish I would have listened to some of my mentors. They're smart, Wisdom comes with experience. And it comes by making mistakes. So just listen to your elders. I'm 50 years old, man. I always giggle when I got a 30-something telling me how it is. Like, really? I thought that too when I was 30, and I've been you. And man, life is just so good. But you got to clear out the bullshit, and you got to clear out the thoughts that are magical lies, and the lies that you've told yourself to survive. And that's really what you were talking about with the God, we used a great term about looking at yourself, but I forgot what it was now. But life is what you make it, and we're making it either great or we're making it harsh. And you see some of these people where they're doom scrolling and sitting in front of screens and arguing, and just, that's not living, man. The number one thing that drives me nuts is watching everybody with their filters and their fake lives on social media. People, please don't believe everything that you see on social media. It is perfectly curated to keep you on that platform. And the funniest thing about it is, we'll be talking, my phone is right here. It will all of a sudden start talking about what we just talked about. It'll show me that on my social media feed because it'll want me to stay on the platform. It doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean that we're right. This means that we're right for us. But now all of a sudden this positivity stuff is going to keep showing on my platform. And if you start man hating or woman hating, that'll start showing up. And it's to keep you thinking that you're right. So you keep going, yeah, it's that friend that keeps telling you you're right. It feels good. But feeling good isn't growth. I started this podcast with telling you feeling is healing, and feeling the negative stuff hurts. Healing hurts when it starts, and then it feels good after. A lot like working out. Go in, you don't want to do it. You go in, you rip your muscles, and then afterwards you feel good. So everything good for you long term feels terrible to start. Everything bad for you feels good to start and terrible after.
That's great wisdom, man. I appreciate it. Um, so definitely, I appreciate you, Kelly, coming on. And I will put links to your books and those type of things because I know that it's knowledge for other people, but it's learned, applied knowledge. And so I just wanted to share that with people. And so, um, do you want to share something where they can find your company and your business? Because I know we don't get a chance to talk about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me give some things away to your readers free of charge. If you DM me, kelly.siegel.71 on Instagram, we'll send you the books, electronic copies of the books. You can also email me, kelly@heartandlife.com. We'll send them to you. When I tell you everything is to pay it forward, I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this to make the world a better place. This is my purpose, is to go first and lead. If you own a company and you want AI agents or cybersecurity, you just want to talk tech and you want to hear it from someone who knows, reach out to me, kelly@heartandlife.com. And if you come from Dwayne's people, I will make it easy and simple. I'm not the sales guy, I'm the owner. So usually when I'm in there, I'm talking about fun stuff that I love. So reach out to me anytime. I'm here to help. If you use that email, it will be me that replies. 100%. I do all of that, but read the books. They're fun and they're free. And please tune in, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're growing that like crazy. Thursday episodes, as you mentioned in the intro, are pay it forward one-on-one coachings, and Tuesday episodes are my interviews with my guests, just like you're doing with me. And all this stuff is free. Come join the Heart and Life Nation and let's have some fun. Live our best life.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time and learned wisdom through the podcast, but on a Saturday. I appreciate it so much. And so everyone, I hope y'all just have an amazing a day. And so just remember, show up, heal, and then win.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for watching another episode of Show Up to Win presents ShowUp2Heal. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. Thank you.